started an Instagram channel, Vick Kumar Studio, for the purpose of just creating artwork and share it with the community. Felt that if I drew something, shared it, the responses, the comments I might get will just give me that extra energy, the extra drive to keep moving forward and creating something new consistently. The goal for me was creating one and done, small 4x6 illustrations using pencil, felt markers, and even pens. Something I can create within 30 minutes to an hour, one day, maybe two at most, but nothing further than that. I didn't want to have big projects because when you have a big project, sometimes it's too overwhelming and you put it aside and you never return to art again. With the traction I was getting from my artwork and the positive feedback, there was a drive also to return back to sculpting. Now, sculpting is something I haven't done in a very long time. I used to do it back in college. I did work in the film industry for a short period of time. But of course, having children, raising children, there was no time for any of that. But as the children got a little bit older, I'm like, okay, this is time to probably return back to it. Problem was that I didn't have a subject matter. I didn't know what I wanted to sculpt, what medium I want to use. Did I want to use clay? It's too messy. Cleanup had to be real quick too. I'm a lazy guy. I don't want to work too hard. The idea of setting up, the idea of cleaning up can be a deterrent in many cases from actually doing art alone. So when my daughter brought home this sculpt back in December 2019, it inspired me to go and start sculpting and create something in the 3D world. This is my inspiration here, folks. Around this time also, I discovered Ace of Clay on YouTube. I was really drawn to his particular style of sculpting, very Tim Burton-esque, very cartoonish, what I enjoy and the kind of things I like to draw myself. So these were ideas that I'm like, okay, well, the desire to be sculpting, well, it could be inspired by the videos of Ace of Clay. My first one started off with the Wolfman, but then he had a few more videos like the Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, where I looked ahead. I'm like, well, if I finish one, here are tutorials to finish the others. So it gave me that green light, move forward and try the world of sculpting again. Sculpting for me started at the beginning of the pandemic, January 2020. Of course, everybody was quite restricted in what they could do. Fortunately for me, I found a creative outlet. I was able to come home from work, do everything that I needed to do with my family, sit at my desk and start this process and just releasing that creative energy, being able to just get lost in that world of sculpting. My first sculpture was the Wolfman. I was extremely pleased with the final sculpt and paint application that it really gave me the motivation to continue with this world of sculpting and move on to my next project, which would be the Mummy. Now this was an exciting piece, needed follow-up with my Universal line, and I thought the Mummy was the perfect fit for it. No doubt Frankenstein would be next in the picture for two reasons mainly. One reason, it's Frankenstein, I gotta do it, or the monster. And the second reason was I had to start sculpting clothing. Fur for the werewolf, wrappings mainly for the Mummy, time for the next challenge, which would be clothing. And Frankenstein fit that picture. Fourth sculpture was a little different. It was a challenge from my son. He asked me, Dad, can you please do Siren Head? Naturally, I said, who? But with a little research, I got it done and I rose to the challenge. Back to my Universal Monsters line, I knew that I had to finish Dracula to finish off the final four, or the big four. Next two sculptures from the Universal line was going to be the Bride of Frankenstein or the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Decided to go with the Bride first. My first and only female figure to date, and I know somebody was patiently waiting for me to get it done. After the Bride of Frankenstein, I decided to take all my illustrations out, mainly the monster theme ones, just look at them and maybe take a deeper dive and think to myself, you know what, is there something else I can do here? Usually I draw and I just file them away, but there was something else I can do, and I knew it. So in the summer of 2021, I decided to take 25 of my original illustrations, redraw them into vector images, using Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, put the images together and create my first coloring book titled Drawings You Color Monster Edition, available on Amazon and Amazon marketplaces. Drawings You Color was a rewarding experience for me, and I wanted to continue with that energy and momentum. I had plans for a second coloring book, but I wasn't ready just yet. What I did have was a children's book I wrote in 2005 and started illustrating in 2006. Around this time, my son was about a year old and my wife was pregnant with our second child. I decided to keep that memory in one of the pages. Before launching the book, I thought it might be a great idea to sculpt my character and bring him to the 3D world. And in November 2021, both my sculpture and my book called Where's My Pillow was complete. Available exclusively on Amazon, on paperback and Kindle. It was finally time to get back to my Universal Monsters line, which I did start but eventually placed back on hold, as the success of my coloring book inspired me to create another. I knew the title of my next book would be Drawings You Color Movie Edition. I went back into my portfolio and selected a handful of existing illustrations that fit this theme. I then illustrated a handful of new drawings to complete the 25 illustrations required. Then it was back to work, setting myself a deadline to have this project complete before the beginning of October and in time for Halloween. With some hard work and most important support from my family, my second coloring book, Drawings You Color Movie Edition, was complete. Behind the scenes, I had completed the sculpt of my creature. I decided to delay painting and explore t-shirt design and other paraphernalia, since I had many of my illustrations still out from the coloring book project. As I focused on the creative side, VickKumarStudio.com website was built and managed by my wife, handling the logistics of payments through PayPal, credit card security, etc., making Vick Kumar Studio available to you all. An unexpected opportunity came along when I was contacted by the community center coordinator for a posting I had placed on a community board. He had asked if I would be interested in teaching a drawing class for the spring-summer children's program. The children were wonderful, a one-day-a-week after-school class for kids ages 6 to 10, grades 1 to 5. Each class started with an illustration of myself on the board. I even had my little mascot Steve to help out. The kids called me Mr. V, and they loved me. There was one project left that I had to complete in 2022. All his friends were waiting patiently for his completion. I started it in December 2021 and my only sculpture in 2022, my dear Gillman, the creature from the Black Lagoon. It was time to get him done, finish him off, and start 2023 with all new projects. This is a sculpture that I'm very proud of, from the sculpt, paint, down to the boat deck base. I have always been an artist since day one. My formal post-secondary education has been graphic and visual design, and I have been working as a professional graphic artist for 25 years. But at the end of the day, when all my responsibilities are complete, I feel blessed to have an outlet where I can draw, sculpt, apply my technical skills, generating unexpected opportunities, exposure on Polymer Week and Sculpey, and even surprises like this life-size digitally printed illustration of my Wolfman for my 15-year anniversary that helped my passion to create and grow Vick Kumar Studio. Thank you so much for watching. Please see below for links to my books, website, and videos used from Ace of Clay's YouTube channel. I'm gonna go draw something now, guys. Any suggestions?